Hello and welcome to the next phase of your breathwork training practice. In this video, I'm going to discuss with you the counting breath technique. The counting breath technique is the concept of applying counts to your breathing practice. For example, the 4-count breath is basically counting for 4 counts on your inhale. So you inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we hold the breath. Now we're introducing holds in our breathwork practice, holding for 4 counts, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling for 4 counts, 1, 2, 3, 4. And lastly, holding the breath at the bottom on empty lungs for 1, 2, 3, 4. And repeat. The counting breath technique is a very powerful tool to have in your breathwork practice. Number one reason being is that it helps you train your breathing, especially for beginners who are just starting on the path of breathwork training. One of the many benefits is that it shows you where you are in your breathwork capacity. For those who've never done breathwork training, many find that they kind of have this weird glitch in their breathing when they try to match the instructor when they're trying to have you to breathe for 4 counts. Some people find that they cannot inhale in a disciplined capacity. Some find that they might inhale too quickly for the first counts, and then the last, 2, 3, 4, they're like trying to slow their breath down. So it really trains you to train your breathing in a controlled manner so that you can control the pacing of your breath. And you will notice where you have some glitches or some tensions or you stutter in your breath, and it helps you kind of have mastery over your breathwork practice. Another way is that it helps you tap into deeper states of consciousness. When you start to practice your breath work in the higher counts, such as 8-count breathing practice or 12-count breathing practice, or even more, even higher counts, the longer you go, the higher counts you achieve, the deeper states of awareness you can unlock. So for example, when we are breathing normally, we are mostly in a beta state of consciousness, just normal functioning waking state of consciousness. But when we go slower, deeper breaths, we can access more meditative states of consciousness, such as alpha, which is a nice kind of when you're in the daydreaming kind of state and you're meditating. Or you can access theta state, which is where a lot of profound insights can occur, deeper layers of subconscious access can be unlocked, and a lot of magic can occur when you access the deeper states of consciousness. So yeah, another tip is that the average person breathes between 12 to 25 breaths per minute. And it's a big range, but I would say the average is somewhere around 18 to 20 breaths per minute people are normally breathing at. But in the ancient times, such as ancient India, the yogis who would practice breathwork training, they would train themselves to breathe normally between 3 to 6 breaths per minute. And that's them consciously practicing to breathe slowly, inhaling very slow and exhaling very slowly. Now, it is a form of mindfulness training to constantly be aware of how you're breathing, how many times you're breathing per minute. So it requires one to stay present at all times. But the reason why they did that is because they were constantly trying to stay in a meditative state through their waking consciousness, through their whole day. They wanted to be in a very Zen-like meditative state. Now, this isn't always necessary, especially if you are, let's say, running a business and you're in the Western world and you have to be go, go, go all the time, or you're an athlete. You may not want to be breathing that way. But if you are trying to live a more spiritual life, trying to just be simply more mindful in your life, or be more meditative in a certain time zone of your day, this is a great practice to apply. And there's an even deeper breath. It's called the Shiva breath. The Shiva breath is apparently, in legends say that the god Shiva would breathe 1 breath per minute. Now that's, if you count that, if you try to do that on a day-to-day basis, inhaling for 30 seconds, exhaling for 30 seconds, normally, every day, all the time, you're going to be in a very trance-like, chilled out state of consciousness. And it's actually very deep and profound. And you will always be in a very peaceful state. And it kind of centers you and keeps you really grounded. But it takes some training to get there. And it requires a bit of endurance to achieve that. Now, endurance is another aspect that the counting breath training will show up in your practice. For those of you who are new to this, you may find that when you are in the higher counts, such as the 8 count breath work or the 12 count breath work, you may find that your endurance is in your breath, in your breathing, is kind of hard. You may find that breathing slowly for 8 counts and holding your breath for 8 counts can be very difficult. You may find that your internal tensions or your uncomfortability will start to scream and squirm, and you just need to exhale or get out of the practice and come back to normal breathing. And that's normal. In the beginning, you will find that your endurance capacity for doing this breathwork capacity may be very low. But don't worry, this will increase over time. And that's what the counting breathwork training is meant for, to increase your endurance and also to kind of gauge where you are in your training, in your development. So be aware of that. If at any point you find it difficult, that you can't hold your breath for 4 counts or 8 counts or 12 counts, simply just exhale and come back to normal breathing and reset and start over. Or go back to the 4 count breath, or find somewhere in between, make it a 5 count breath or a 6 count breath. It's up to you. You can design your own training. But this coursework is to help you kind of gauge where you're at and give you a platform to see where you're at in your practice. So that's the endurance aspect of the breathwork. Now, last but not least, we are introducing the holding of the breath in our training. Now, holds in your breathwork practice are very powerful tools to have in your breathing practice. Holds have many benefits and have many aspects to them. One of them being able to hold and retain your breathing at the top of the inhale or the bottom of the exhale. Basically trains you to have more power in your lungs. It's training your endurance in your lungs, and it's training kind of like the diaphragm muscles that control your lungs to strengthen, so that you can able to hold your breath for longer periods of time or have an empty lungs for longer periods of time. Now, the reason why that's really good is that you may notice when you hold your breath for a certain amount of time and then you exhale, you will have a profound sensations occur. Very profound euphoric sensations, sensations of energy flowing through your body. Maybe you'll have tingles, but it'll feel really good. There's also chemicals of dopamine and oxytocin secreting in your brain. These feel-good chemicals are coming out, and it's basically allowing you to achieve some profound states of bliss and healing in your body. And I have found through my training and my practice, I've been able to hold my breath for very long amounts of time. And when I finally exhale, wow, the sensations I feel are super incredible, super healing. I feel it coursing through my whole body, all the way to my fingertips and my toes, and all the way around. And it's super profound. So yeah, holding your breath is really important and can help you achieve really profound benefits from that. At higher levels, in more advanced training practices, being able to hold your breath is very key to unlock and access the more advanced practices and techniques of breathwork and meditation. But disclaimer, you don't want to hold your breath for too long. For those of you out there who have maybe some blood pressure issues or heart issues or brain issues, you definitely don't want to be holding your breath for too long. So please tread carefully for those of you who may have some ailments or conditions. I highly suggest you consult your physician or your doctor and talk to them about this training you're about to do and see if it's okay that you're holding your breath. I have found that I have held my breath for way too long sometimes, and I've literally fainted and crashed down on the floor and hurt my head. So I have learned the hard way, and I just want to warn those out there who may be reckless or have a beginner's mind and get too excited about this training and want to go the extra mile. Don't do it. Don't go too fast. Don't try to blast off right away. You want to take baby steps in breathwork training practice. Breathing is a very powerful thing, and it's not something to be messed around with. So just be aware and tread carefully and take it step by step. So that's the introduction to the counting breath concept and technique in our training practice. Now in the next video, we're going to start with the 4 count breath work. It's going to be the basic beginner one to get you started and to see where you're at in your breathwork practice. All right. Hope you enjoyed this introduction, and I look forward to seeing you in the next training.